Hello everyone, this is Zibo and welcome to today's Who to Poo video. So without further ado, let us start with today's heroes in the hero art banner, and we have Lifeguard Uasa, 8-tailed fox Nari, 9-tailed fox Garam, as well as the new character Sea Witch Ara. So I'll start with the least useful character, which is Uasa first. So the three words that I'll use for Uasa is number 1, least useful on today's list, number 2, very niche, and number 3, very weird placing in terms of usage. So first of all, she's the least useful in today's list because the other 3 units, they're either really important in various game modes, or they are really strong in various game modes, whereas Uasa is like, you know, she's not here nor there, right? She can be used in like the different game modes, but she's not necessary, and she's there more like a support unit, even though she's supposed to be like a damage dealer kind of thing. So that's one thing about Uasa, at least compared to the other 3 units. And the second thing about Uasa, she's super niche. So if you guys do not know, her party buff is weapon skill regen speed plus 30%. So currently there's a few units with this buff. Number 1, the gun version of Future Knight. Number 2, Uasa. Number 3, Zelos. If you include Sohi, then you have 4 units. So these 4 units will usually be the weapon skill regen speed unit you use within the weapon skill regen speed team. But right now, the strongest weapon skill regen speed team that exists consists of Veronica, 1 tank, and 1 weapon skill regen speed unit. So if you put Veronica or Uasa, you have 2 water units, and as you guys should have known by now, Kamel is everywhere, right? Mariel is everywhere, even Ru is like everywhere as well. So like the prevalence of Earth is not very favorable for a double water setup, at least in normal arena. But in the Masters arena, I think she is very powerful in certain maps if you're able to ban out Kamel and Mariel. So in that situation, I think she's good. Right, I personally used her before. I think she's not a bad unit per se, but it's just how the meta is structured and how the strongest unit in the weapon skill regen speed team is actually Veronica. So running 2 water element or running 2 same element unit in a team is usually not very favored unless you are doing like a mono element buff to make your whole team stronger. So that's why she's seeing a lot less use compared to Future Knight or even Zelos in terms of that weapon skill regen speed setup. And the next thing about her is that she actually has this defense reduction from her normal attack. So this brings me to my third point. Like, she's kind of like how do I put it, like she's like it's kind of unknown, you know, how to actually place her, because right now I think one of the most prominent place you will see Uasa, right, is definitely in guild raids because of this damage defense reduction, right? If you reduce your enemy's defense, especially the boss defense, by 20%, your whole team can do more damage. So you see a lot of people using Lan and Uasa in a team because you have melee reduction, you have defense reduction, and this defense reduction actually stacks with Lilith itself. So this will make your whole dark team do a lot more damage. This will make your whole melee team do a lot more damage. And that's where I see Uasa most of the time, because like I don't really see her in raid. I don't really see people use her in like all the orbital lifts or even like your story content, because she's not very strong there. But overall, I would say that she's a bad unit, just a really niche one. So if you do have an idea of how you want to run her, I think she's definitely a worthy investment. But if you don't plan to play weapon skill regen speed comp and you don't plan to invest in a mini team setup, then I think she's a very skippable unit. But if you like One Piece swimsuit and you like tight ass apps designs, then I think she's also a good unit just to look at a picture, because you need to pull for the character in order to get a colored version of the profile pic in your hero collection. So with that, let us move on to the next hero, which is 8-tailed fox Nari. So Nari is a unit that has a lot to do with the channel. So the 3 words that I'll use for Nari, number 1 will be memorable, number 2 Red Queen, and number 3 needs to be buffed. So Nari used to be really strong, right? She's one of the stronger units in the earlier days of Guardian Tales, and I think this channel had a lot with her. One of the key reasons why the channel grew was also because of my How Worthy video, and the very first How Worthy video happens to be Nari's How Worthy video. So you guys do not have to find the video for this character because it's actually removed, right? It's copy striked. That's another story for another day. But yeah, she's the first character to kick off this series, to be honest. So that's the history of this character with the channel, and I personally like her. She's one of the characters which I spent quite a lot just to get, and there's a lot going for her, right? Her cute design, her voice acting, and just in general, her kit is very, very flexible, very, very good. So she's one of the first units with the range damage plus 50%, and one of the first that is able to be really strong in the arena itself. So in the earlier days, I think the two range units were Tinia and herself. So her balls that were auto-targeting and was able to fly through all the walls and terrains, right? Make her really OP back then. And other than that, she has a range defense decrease. So in case you guys do not know, this buff is a must in your guild raid, at least for the range team. And there's a lot of basket in Gun Tales, right? All the elements. And if you've been playing long enough, you will have all the different baskets of the different elements. So Nari can fit in nearly any range teams as well. So she has the same position as Tinia. That's why she's also a raid queen, right? She can be used in every single guild raid, like every single guild raid. Like you just pair her with an elemental basket because her chain skill deals damage and buffs your whole team's crit hit chance by 10%. So this will allow your whole team to do a little bit more damage. And lastly, her special ability is one that made her arena prowess very powerful in the past. So in the past, I think she is one of the unit with I'll say like a serviceable defense, because her defense is 166, but if you take into consideration her special ability, right, it can go up to about 200 plus, even 300. So that's why she's a bit tanky in the earlier days, but right now, right, she's actually power crapped. So this brings me to my third point. If you want to play with her in arena, she's only gonna work in very niche situations because she's beaten by a lot of the like meta units, a lot of the new units. Like they simply just beat her straight up and she doesn't really have a chance. So that's like the part where she really needs a buff. So in general, I think if you're pulling for Nari in the current stage of the game, it will probably be more for the raid reasons, and if you really like her cute design, right? So like if you do not focus too much on raid, and if you're a heavy arena player, I would recommend you to pull for her because she's not as strong as she used to be. She used to be very meta, but not as much now. So that's my take about Nari. Let us move on to the third character. And for third character, we have Nine-Tailed Fox Garam. So the three words that I'll use for Garam: number 1, Premier Husbando; number 2, King of Raid; and number 3, pure damage. So he's actually one of the premier husbandos, one of the very first few husbandos in the game. In fact, I think he's the second one because of how limited unique male husbandos are, right? We don't get a lot of them. So even till this day, like he's actually released, I think like 2 years back in the year 2019, right? So it's super long since his release, but even till this day, Garam is super active. If you had played him from the start of his release till now, right, he's one of the most worthy investment because every single guild raid you will see him. That's why he's the king of water teams, because if you're dealing damage, right, when it comes to damage itself, the first unit that comes to your mind is Garam because he has one of the highest attack. His kit is just damage on top of damage, right? When bow is equipped, increase damage by 20%, water attack plus 8%, and then his exclusive weapon provides him with even more damage, right? Increases his damage of his normal attack by 50%. So in all honesty, right, if you think about damage, Garam is the one that you think about, and he's only really good in water teams, that's for sure, but the amount of damage he can deal out, it is so good that he's a worthy investment to go for because he will greatly boost your raid damage, right? He's pretty much used in every single raid, even if water element is not the strongest there because of how much his team can actually do. So that's one thing going for him, right? A very raid centric character overall right now, but in arena, I think if you're able to ban out water units, you might be able to give him a chance. Like he's not really meant for arena because he's really very frail. Like he's like Arabelle kind of paper glass cannon hero, so he dies pretty easily. You definitely need a defense buff to make him work, or you need a ton of stats. And in general, that's basically Garam. Like just damage, really good unit, very good for raid, very niche for arena, but overall very usable. So let us move on to our last unit on today's list, and that is none other than Sea Witch Era. So the three words that I'll use for Era is number 1, PvP centric; number 2, tentacles; and number 3, untapped potential. So first of all, she's very PvP centric because her kit itself, right, is not meant for PvE because she doesn't buff your team. she's a very selfish unit. She buffs herself, and she doesn't offer much in terms of increasing your damage, so she's definitely not gonna see use for raid. Like, she's not the best unit that you can go for, so I will recommend you to pull for her if you want to use her for raid itself. And like, the second word I use is tentacles, right? So she's a lot around her tentacles, right? She heals off her tentacles, she gets a defense increase from her tentacles, she gets increased DPS by increasing the attack of her tentacles, and she can summon up to 2 tentacles per match. So her playstyle is a lot about positioning your tentacles correctly, a lot about using your tentacles at the correct timing to deal damage, to disrupt your enemies, to annoy them, and then win you the match. So in a sense, I think this summoning mechanic is proven to be very powerful from Noxia's point of view, because in Garden Tales, the targeting mechanics is something which the player doesn't have control over. So she's definitely gonna be a very powerful arena unit, and she has this untapped potential because first of all, I haven't seen a lot of people use her in the KL server yet, but I honestly think that she's one of the strongest unit to date right now. It's just that maybe Kamel is too strong, maybe Earth is too strong, so we don't see a lot of her in normal arena. And even in Masters arena, I've always seen people banning her, so I don't see her often, and that's why I think she has a lot of untapped potential, at least within the arena side. So my verdict for her will be pull for her if you want a really solid defense buff unit for your range team, and you want a very solid arena unit as a whole. So yep, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you guys find it helpful in terms of thinking who you should pull from this banner. And personally, I like Era's shaky tentacle designs, and I hope that you guys like it too. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.